This is kind of hard to understand, but sometimes you can try so hard at something. Sometimes you can be so prepared and still fail. And with every time you fail, it's painful. It causes sadness.
Understand, my friend, is that you're supposed to fail. You're supposed to fail because failure is the stepping stone to success. It's not just cliche, because failure is an experience that lends to wisdom that ultimately makes you a stronger version of yourself.
Self-love, rebuilding self, seeing to it that you spend enough personal and alone time to seek higher levels of self. What is the next level of you?
Remember, whenever one door closes, there is another door waiting for you. Don't second guess yourself, and don't be so afraid of failing that you create excuses instead of producing results.
Every day, you have another opportunity to be and do what you were meant to do on this earth. This decision you're making right now will determine your outcome of your tomorrow. We don't have control over yesterday, but this decision that you're making right now will push you, will purge you, will drive you to have that fire down inside.
There's never been a point, anytime, and there never will be, where everything is perfect. Okay? No such thing. Because life is a possibility. Because it's a possibility, it cannot be perfect. Doesn't matter what we do, there's still something more to do.
The possibilities when you do this, although unknown, are endless. But one thing is for certain, if you don't push yourself, nothing in your life will change.
If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, human being, you got unlimited potential. You can put effort on you, and by concentrating on you and developing you, you can transform your life wherever you are right now.
There has to be something so deep in you that drives you. So what really does it for me is I know what we're capable of. And I know that most human beings aren't willing to go where I am. And that's a very, very dangerous thing. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else. Everybody has this talent. It's not a talent. It's just realizing that we stop way short of our true potential. So through my life, I realize these things. And I know what gives me fuel is I know that most people who are blessed with so much talent, great parents, great upbringing, didn't come from where I come from. They're gonna quit before me. Having all the tools that they have, they didn't have the ability to examine themselves. When you have everything so nice in life, it's great to have a great life. But what happens is you don't self-examine. You don't do a live autopsy. When you have a fucked up life, it almost forces you to do a live autopsy. It forces you to find strength from places that no one looks from. Because food is not at the ready. You know, I have a learning disability. It's not at the ready. I can't just pick up a book and start reading. Right. There's preparation behind everything I do. There's everything I do has to come with so much preparation. It's despicable. It makes me sick. My own personal life makes me sick. That's why I'm so disciplined now. Without my self-discipline, there is no David Goggins. Like, I can't stop reading. I won't be able to read tomorrow. I will lose it that fast. I cannot stop going to the gym. My mind is set up in a spot where, hey, the second I stop, it wants to stop. Because I had a quitting mind growing up. When you get beat the shit out of you all the time, your mind wants to go to that nice spot where you're comforted, where you're not trying, where shit is easy. That's where your mind, it doesn't want to think. You have all these things in the mind, and the mind can only absorb so much. So all the pain it has to go through, it wants to push it away and say, let's not do that. So every day I'm fighting where the mind wants to go. So it's a constant evolution, man.
There isn't a better way to live your life. There's no right way and wrong way. There is only the way that gives you more energy. There is only the way that gives you fulfillment. When you have those things, when you're fulfilled by what you're doing and it's giving you, the harder you pursue it, it's giving you more energy, you're on the right path. As the Greeks would say, segolodromo, I can't believe I messed that up. Segolodromo, which means you're on a good road. And that's what I want people to understand. Like, yes, I preach a very specific path, but I don't think that it is a universal path. And so the only universal path is to do the things that give you fulfillment and energy. So if spending time with your friends gives you that, then you should be spending more time with your friends. If dating gives you that, then you should be dating. So you don't need to want to be the best in the world at something. You don't need to want to make a lot of money. You don't need to want to be an entrepreneur. Like they're literally just stand-ins. They're proxies for fulfillment and energy creation. That's it.
Many people have had difficult experiences growing up. They have fallen onto hard times and become associated with the wrong people. They have behaved in ways that were illegal or socially unacceptable. Sometimes they have even been convicted and sent to prison for their crimes. But at a certain point in life, they decided to change. They thought seriously about the kind of person that they wanted to be known as and thought of in the future. They decided to change their lives by changing the values that they live by. By making these decisions and sticking to them, they changed their lives. And what others have done, you can do as well. Remember, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. All that really matters is where you're going. If you were an outstanding person in every respect, how would you behave toward others? What sort of impression would you leave on others after you had met them and spoken with them? Imagine you could be a completely excellent person. How would you be different from today? The moment that you begin walking, talking, and behaving in ways that are consistent with your highest ideals, your self-image improves, your self-esteem increases, and you feel happier about yourself and your world. For example, whenever you are complimented or praised by another person, or given a prize or an award for accomplishment, your self-esteem goes up, sometimes dramatically. You feel happy about yourself. You feel that your whole life is in harmony and that you are living congruent with your highest ideals. You feel successful and valuable. Your aim should be to deliberately and systematically create the circumstances that raise yourself. A team in everything you do. You should live your life as if you were already the outstanding person that you intend to be sometime in the future. Decide today to be a man or woman of honor. Resolve to tell the truth and to live in truth with yourself and others. Crystallize your values in each area of your life. Write them down. Think of how you would behave if you were living consistent with those values and then refused to compromise them for any reason. Once you accept complete responsibility for your life and for everything that happens to you, and then create an ideal picture of your perfect future and clarify your values, you are now ready to begin setting clear, specific goals in every area of your life. You are now on the launching ramp and ready to take off toward the stars.
You have to work on yourself. You have to have an unstoppable attitude, and no excuse is acceptable. And you've got to make it a priority, a non-negotiable in your life, and hold a constant vision of what it is you want to achieve. See it accomplished and go all out. Find a way to win in spite of the setbacks, in spite of the disappointments, in spite of your failures. I tell people when I'm giving presentations, you will fail your way to success. I have a saying, is life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And so those experiences of going after goals that's beyond your comfort zone and having relationships that will challenge you. And so those experiences, they challenge you to go to that next level and continue to move forward in your life, doing new and exciting things that eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor is it in the heart of mankind what God has in store for you when you live a heart-centered life, deciding that you're going to live a life that will outlive you. You're going to live a life that counts, a life that will build a legacy and change the planet. You know, Horace Mann said, we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution.
Tell me one thing in your life that is great that came as a result of being comfortable.
Most of us aren't defeated in one decisive battle. We are defeated one tiny, seemingly insignificant surrender at a time that chips away at who we should really be. It isn't that you wake up one day, decide, that's it, I'm going to be weak. No. It is a slow, incremental process. It chips away at our will. It chips away at our discipline.
Move out of your comfort zone. It's the courage to move into your zone of discomfort where you feel awkward and clumsy and sometimes alone. The comfort zone is one of the greatest enemies of human potential and of your potential.
The people that are really successful, they're not looking for comfort. They're looking for excitement. They're looking for potential. Give up this old idea, I just want to be comfortable. Quit lying to yourself. You know you seek more than comfort.
So understand that when you're trying to avoid the pain, when you're trying to avoid the struggle, when you're trying to avoid the hard things in life, you are actively choosing to be average.
Start putting some pressure on. Put some pressure on yourself. Get out here and get about it.
Once you figure out that you're in a race amongst billions of people that live in this world, you're in a race by yourself. You have a purpose, and it's your purpose, not everybody else's purpose. It is your purpose and only your purpose, and it's your race.
That means you are persistently bigger than your excuses. You are persistently bigger than feeling lazy. And you are persistently beating the feelings that typically stop you.
Stop coming up with excuses. Don't give yourself permission to continue to live a small life. You can't fit a big dream into a small life. Give yourself permission to go for it, to test yourself, to challenge yourself, to live full.
When the sun comes up, you've got all the books, you've got all the tapes, you've got all the access. Now it's time to hunt. And what separates you from everybody else is that when it's time to hunt, you're ready to hunt.
What I've come to appreciate when you're working on changing your life, changing some bad habit, getting out of addictive situations or relationships, or working to build a dream or making a difference in our society, it's hard.
There are going to be all kinds of challenges that we all must face. You cannot live in this world without a challenge. You cannot live in this world without a struggle.
Greatness is right on the other side of pain. So what are you running from it for? You say you want to be successful, then push through it. Stop making excuses and go get it.
The lack of self-discipline is the major cause of failure, frustration, underachievement, and unhappiness in life. It causes us to make excuses and sell ourselves short. Perhaps the two biggest enemies of success, happiness, and personal fulfillment are first the path of least resistance and second, the expediency factor. The path of least resistance is what causes people to take the easy way in almost every situation. They seek shortcuts to everything. They arrive at work at the last minute and leave at the first opportunity. They look for get rich, quick schemes and easy money. Over time, they develop the habit of always seeking an easier, faster way to get the things they want, rather than doing what is hard but necessary to achieve real success. The expediency factor, which is an extension of the law of least resistance, is even worse when leading people to failure and underachievement. This principle says people invariably seek the fastest and easiest way to get the things they want, right now with little or no concern for the long-term consequences of their behavior. In other words, most people do what is expedient, what is fun and easy, rather than what is necessary for success. Every day, and every minute of every day, there is a battle going on inside of you between doing what is right, hard, and necessary, like the angel on one shoulder, or doing what is fun, easy, and of little or no value, like the devil on your other shoulder. Every minute of every day, you must fight and win this battle with the expediency factor and resist the pull of the path of least resistance if you truly desire to become everything you are capable of becoming.
And then when you see people take on more responsibility and decide that they're going to aim up and confront their suffering honestly and forthrightly, that their lives get better and the lives of people around them get better too. And so that's very strange as well, because it also means that the pathway to less suffering is through suffering, right? And that would be hopeful if the world was constituted that way. It's like, well, there's suffering. How do you make it worse? Run away. How do you make it better? Confront it. Yeah, but it's suffering. It's like, yeah, but it's there. There it is. It's right there. It's a precondition for existence or something like that. And it's like you have something important to do as well. And you confront it, and that's the pathway to transcending it.
We need to figure out, like, now, today, what is, the best way to live your life? What is the, there's got to be ways you can be putting forward the most positive energy. I mean, we know objectively what's causing pollution. We know objectively what's causing birth defects, and, and we're taking in too much chemicals and not enough vitamins. We know objectively all this stuff. We know how to organize our world, and yet we don't do it. We know how to organize our health, and yet very few people do it. We know all these things. The right path to being a happy, healthy person is to do all the shit that we already know you're supposed to do. Take care of your body, take care of your health, take care of your mind, your stress, meditate, be kind to people. We all know that. I mean, you ask anybody, they know how to get by and to be the most evolved version of you that you can be. I mean, it's not like a magical checklist. If you talk to people about it, you said, okay, here you got a person, you want to improve them, what are the things that you're going to do to them? Okay, well, if I was a life coach, the first thing I would say is this guy's got to get on a diet that makes him healthy. I don't mean a diet just to lose weight. I mean just healthy foods in your body, many, many vegetables. Start working out your body and get a better sense of how this machine feels when it's moving, it's flowing better, there's less tension in it, your mind feels relaxed and you enjoy every single moment of the day better. Step one, everybody knows that step, right? What's step two? Be cool to people. Be nice to as many people as you can. Smile at as many people as you can. Have them smile back at you. Tip well when you go to restaurants. Just do the most you can. Be as nice as you can and just still manage to not have people walk all over you. Just get through this life as nice as you can.
The average human is capable of unbelievable improvement. That's the thing that's my superpower. I don't think I'm special. I just realized in looking at the science that humans actually are capable of this incredible amount of change. It is the strategy that our species took to be able to pass knowledge on through culture rather than having to have everything be instincts. And in having that layer where we can drink in the culture and read books and learn from other people, and even now we're all learning from things that people thought thousands of years ago and wrote down, it's insane. It travels through to you, and all of that wisdom stored in culture, so that as your parents are teaching you things, they're actually encapsulating a ton of the wisdom that is endured, whether it's endured from religion or books or whatever. You're bathed in a culture that is giving you all of this incredible information. And so recognizing how powerful and potent that is incredibly meaningful. But you have to understand that you have to allow yourself to believe that you can learn from that culture in the same way that everybody else can. And that's what you're designed to do. Now, for me, that completely gave me the confidence, and I put confidence in air quotes because it's not like I believe something specific about myself. I just believed that the human animal is capable of this extraordinary change. And so now I just needed to point myself in that direction. Now, this is the key. Once I realized that I could get better at anything, it dawned on me that how I spend my time is a spiritual consideration. And I didn't want to die with potential that I failed to turn into skill set. That to me, that speaks to me. How much of my potential can I actually turn into skill set and get good at this stuff and push and grow and improve? Like, that to me is just this incredibly intoxicating thing. So, for me, the discipline, the confidence, all of that comes from recognizing the human animal. Nothing special about me. The human animal is capable of extraordinary change. I'm gonna have to put time and energy into doing it, but I'm capable of getting this change. Therefore, I can do anything I set my mind to. Therefore, it really matters what I choose to spend my time on. Therefore, I want to put structure and discipline in my life so that I can move forward on things that excite me, that matter to me, because I really can have this big crazy dream that I'm thinking of. So my discipline is really born of my desire to have that thing, coupled with my belief that I can actually get there. Desire and belief. Get those two things right, and the discipline will take care of itself.
You may have this conversation with your mind several times before it acknowledges that you are in charge and that you really mean what you say. Imagine that your thoughts are like drops of water. One thought or one drop of water does not mean very much. As you continue to repeat the same thoughts over and over, you first notice a stain on the carpet, then there's a little puddle, then a pond, and as these thoughts continue, they can become a lake and finally an ocean. What kind of ocean are you creating? One that is polluted and toxic and unfit to swim in? Or one that is crystal clear and blue and invites you to enjoy its refreshing waters?
All of us have these bags of manure that we carry around with us, called our past. And the people who have done things to us, and the events and the circumstances, all of this stuff that we use and we bond to. And we bond ourselves to these wounds of our past, and we identify ourselves on the basis of these wounds. And every once in a while we set it down and we reach in there and we smear it all over ourselves. And then we wonder, why does my life smell so bad? I don't understand this.
Whatever you pay attention to will naturally grow, at least for you. Every human being that you meet, there's a good side to them, there is a nasty side to them. If you pay attention to the nasty side, your mind will be preoccupied with the nastiness. Somebody else's nastiness will become yours. And because of that, you will receive more and more of that from all around. If you pay attention to the best, even though in some people it may be a minuscule, if you pay attention to the best, it will grow. At least in your mind, in your experience, it will grow. There is a good chance it will grow in them also.
You're never going to get enough. You already are everything. You're everything that you need. Think of it for just a moment. Everything that you need to have total bliss, perfection of your life, you already are. You already have it. You came into this world with nothing. That's how you're going out. And the time that you have here, what you have is your uniqueness, your specialness, and you don't need anything else. Now think on this. If you don't know how to appreciate what you have and where you are in your life, you don't need anything else. Because if you do get something else, you won't know how to appreciate that either. You'll just want more. Or you'll want it to be different. Or you'll want it to be the way it used to be. Or you'll want someone else to be the way you think they should be.
If we are willing to turn our lives over to this greater power within us, the power that loves and sustains us, we can create more loving and prosperous lives. I believe that our minds are always connected to the one infinite mind, and therefore all knowledge and wisdom is available to us at any time.
Nobody changes until they change their energy. When you change your energy, you change your life.
See, it has nothing to do with the external activity that you're doing. It's got something to do with the internal systems as to how they're functioning. Essentially, it means neither your body, nor your mind, nor your chemistry, nor your emotions, nor your energy are taking instructions from you. They're doing their own thing. Once your machine is not in your control, being peaceful is impossible. I'll tell you, you get into your car and now you go there and you want to turn this way. You do this to the steering, it goes this way. Can you peacefully drive this car? Can you? No. Anxiety is natural, isn't it? This is what has happened to your vehicle. It's out of control. You've never done anything to find out where the steering wheel is, first of all. This is not that simple as a car, this is a super computer. Now the problem is most people have not even bothered to find the keyboard. They think if they do this, somehow it'll work. When you're given such a highly sophisticated machine, if you do not conduct it properly, it will cause many problems to you. By accident it's working. I want you to know this is made this way. If you hold your hands like this, it'll breathe one way. If you just turn it around, the very way you breathe, the breathing pattern itself changes in your lungs. You can try it if you want when you have the time. This way, this way. I'm saying everything that you do, fundamental changes are happening in this machine because it's such a sophisticated machine. It's more than a touch screen. If you just wish it, it will happen. When you have such a sensitive and sophisticated machine and you are operating like a blacksmith, then being peaceful seems to be difficult. Peace is not the highest goal in your life, it is the most fundamental requirement. Don't ever set peace as the highest goal. If you do that, you'll only rest in peace. You must see, to be peaceful is the first thing in your life, isn't it? If you want to do anything sensibly in your life, if you want to conduct any situation in your life sensibly, to be peaceful and happy is fundamental.
All improvement in your life begins with an improvement in your mental pictures. We know that because of the law of correspondence, that your outer world tends to be a mirror of your inner world. This means that what you see on your outside, what you see in your relationships, your health, your work, your customers, and so on, tends to be a result of the pictures you have inside. We also know that your self-image controls your performance. Because the way you see yourself and think about yourself inside determines how you act on a day-to-day basis. If you see yourself and think about yourself as an extraordinary person, if you see yourself as a success, if you see yourself as happy, positive, confident, in control, if you see yourself as a loving parent or spouse, you will act that way toward others. So therefore, all improvement in your life begins with an improvement in your mental pictures, with you consciously and deliberately selecting the pictures that you're going to allow your mind to dwell upon. And that word dwell is terribly important. When you dwell upon a picture, your subconscious mind, just as with affirmations, accepts the picture as a command and goes to work to bring that picture into your reality. It's the most phenomenal thing. Your subconscious mind controls your reticular activating system or your reticular cortex as well. The reticular activating system is very interesting. It's a small part of your brain. It's like a switchboard in your brain that controls all incoming impulses. Let me give you an example. If you begin to tell your brain that you intend to be a great success in your field, that you are going to move to the top, that you're going to be one of the most esteemed people in what you do, if you're going to make a lot of money, whatever it happens to be, this is accepted as a command. The reticular cortex switches on all these switches, and from then on, you begin to see all kinds of possibilities that help you move toward achieving that goal. Why is it that successful people move so rapidly toward achieving their goals? It's very simple. It's because they're thinking all the time, and as a result of thinking about what they want, they see all kinds of opportunities around them to achieve it. The average person doesn't even see, because the average person is so worried about how little money they have and how much their bills are, all the problems are, and the more they think about those things, the more they get them.
Men and women with clear values who are living their lives consistent with their highest aspirations are those who have a deep sense of self-confidence and well-being. We also said that the most important value you can have is the value of integrity. Integrity is the value that guarantees all the others. Having integrity means that you will not compromise on what you believe to be right. in any area. Integrity is absolutely essential if you want to capitalize on your strength. It means more than anything looking at yourself honestly and making your decisions based on the fact that you are an extraordinary human being. Your feelings are very valuable clues to your choices and behavior. Your peace of mind and personal satisfaction is perhaps the most accurate guide you will ever have to doing what is right for you. To follow your heart, you don't necessarily need to make dramatic changes in your life or in your relationships. What you do need to do is to see yourself honestly as you really are, and have the courage to channel your energies and focus your strengths into your areas of greatest potential. When you do this, you will soon realize that you have made one of the best decisions of your life. Each person has great strength and potentialities, and each person is put on this earth to harness those strengths and apply them to benefiting themselves and mankind. The life stories of the great men and women of history are usually stories of people who discovered their strengths and utilized them to the fullest degree. Churchill was a great statesman and orator. Florence Nightingale was a tremendous organizer. Florence Chadwick was an incredibly strong swimmer. Abraham Lincoln was a far-sighted and compassionate politician and president. Mother Teresa was a truly loving human being with an infinite capacity to care for and support the sick and dying people of Calcutta. Joe Montana was a quarterback with an incredible throwing arm with the Washington Redskins. All around you, you see men and women who have grabbed their major talents. You can do the same if you have the courage to follow your heart.
You have some narrative in your mind that is so negative that when you look in the mirror, you see somebody worth trashing. You see what's wrong. You pick apart your appearance. And I want to reverse that, because here's the deal about self-confidence. Self-confidence begins with you. You realize the word self is in there, right? I can't give you confidence. I can give you a little boost. I can give you tools. I can encourage you. But confidence is forged in fire. It's something that's within you. And here's the thing I want you to realize about confidence. You are a confident person. That's why you miss feeling that way. You can only miss what you know. You've just been blocked from the feeling of it. And wherever you are right now in your life, I'm telling you, confidence is in there. You just got to figure out how to tap into it.
If you're holding on to something that does not serve you, you are making a terrible error. It's going to cause all kinds of problems. You may blame other people or other things. You may blame the situation. It's you are the cause of the problem. The man that told me to pick up this book and read it, Ray Stanford, he had a saying. He used to say to me, Bob, you're the only problem you'll ever have, and you're the only solution. I think it might have taken me 5 years to understand it. But I do understand it. And you know something? I am the only problem I'll ever have, and I am the only solution. Don't hold on to anything that is not serving you. Reject it. You know the beautiful part about having an inductive reasoning factor? That's the part that chooses thoughts. You can accept or reject. The beautiful part of your mind, you can accept or reject anything that comes into your world. Accept or reject it. It's a choice. Don't hold on to anything that is not serving you.
If we play the victim role, then we are using our personal power to be helpless. If we decide to accept responsibility, then we don't waste time blaming somebody or something out there. Some people feel guilty for creating illness or poverty or problems. They choose to interpret responsibility as guilt. And some members of the media like to refer to it as New Age guilt. These people often feel guilty because they believe that they have failed in some way. However, they usually accept everything as a guilt trip in one way or another, because it's another way to make themselves wrong. And that is not what I'm talking about. If we can use our problems and illnesses as opportunities to think about how we can change our lives, we have power.
Here's something I want you to keep in mind. Life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over.
In the past, if you look at it, people have perceived themselves as victims of everything around them, victims of circumstances. And then we go, oh, I'm sorry, life did not give me those wonderful things that other people have. And the simple reality is, no, if you have an issue, it's not the outside. This is what we've always, oh, universe, give me something. We now know that our issues are internal. It's our own subconscious beliefs that we've been programmed with of disempowerment. Like when a child is growing up and getting its programs, so think of what things parents say. Oh, you don't deserve this. Who do you think you are? I mean, the parents didn't mean that for your whole life. They were trying to, goad you, needle you to make a change. So they would say these things. 95% of our life comes from those programs. So if you have disempowering beliefs about who you think you are, because you got them from other people, that's how you know who you are. These disempowering beliefs play 95% of the day in an average person's life. So I say, yeah, well, my wishes and desires, I want success, I want great relationships, I want all these wonderful things, I want health. I go, well, that's conscious mind, because conscious mind's creative. But as science reveals, only 5% of the day are we operating from our own personal wishes and desires. 95% of the day we operate from the programs that we got in the first 7 years. And if those programs, which psychologists have told us 70% are negative and disempowering and self-sabotaging, I say, good, apply these 95% of the day in your life, and you realize why your life is a struggle. It's not a struggle because the universe is not providing. It's a struggle because your own consciousness is not accepting. And this is where we have to change. And so getting control of your mind, taking charge of your consciousness, is a way of overcoming those limitations. There are many different ways to take this control back in your life. And one of them is the ability to, like in yoga, for example, to be the master of your mind and not let it run the monkey mind. Let it run. No, I want this. Don't let this other one go.
And so overcoming the old self allows us to become somebody else. And there is that period of transition. Yeah. I call it the void, where there's just not a lot happening. And you just got to be able to keep going and continuously get to the end of your belief, where most people stop. I just had a fabulous conversation with someone this weekend. Broke through to the other side, and now there's so much magic happening around this person. But she's worthy now to receive it. And that is the key, because the universe only gives us what we think we're worthy of receiving. So we got to become initiated into this and understand that thousands of years of programming that says that we have to change things matter to matter, in three-dimensional reality. And it will take time, but to begin to connect to that resource called the quantum field and create from the field instead of from matter, there's a lot of unlearning that has to go on. You have to really begin to mentally rehearse. So you ask yourself at the end of your day, I do this every day. How'd I do? How'd I do today, bro? How'd you do? Just do good? Where'd you fall from grace? What was it that caused you to go unconscious for the rest of the day? What was that moment? Now, if you're a student of life, you'll begin to contemplate, well, it was that person that said that thing, then I reacted, or I got this email, or things didn't go my way, and I started feeling angry or frustrated or fearful. The next time that happens, how could I evolve my experience? Now, you may have to search for some answers of the best model to build, or you may actually have a long contemplation and start to go, God, the next time that happens, I think I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to plan my behaviors. And the act of closing your eyes and rehearsing what you're going to do begins to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like you already did it. Now the brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's a map to the future. And if you keep installing that hardware, the hardware will become a software program, which means you'll just start acting like a happy person. Why? There's no magic there. You installed the circuitry. So that's more important than the news.
Right.
It's more important than answering any email or any text. it's more important than talking about your past.
If you want to enjoy self-confidence on the outside, you must practice complete integrity on the inside. The foundation of self-confidence is for you to live your life consistent with your innermost values and principles, while thinking and acting in harmony with your highest aspirations. Men and women with the most solid self-confidence are those who are absolutely clear about what it is they believe to be right and good and worthwhile, and who live their lives consistent with these values. Everything they do or say is an expression of their innermost convictions. Your whole world can fall down around you, but as long as you know that you are doing the right thing, you will have a deep inner sense of calm that will manifest itself in an attitude of confidence and self. In an attitude of confidence and self-assurance in any situation. You will have many ups and downs in life. But what is most important is that you remain true to yourself. Your true values are only expressed in your actions, in what you do. You can tell what you truly believe by observing what you do in any situation in which you have to make a choice, especially when you are under stress and pulled in two directions at once, with opposing demands or responsibilities. This is when your true values are revealed. The action that you take in any given situation will tell you which of your values is uppermost or whether you have any values at all. It is not what you say, hope, wish, or intend, but only what you do that counts. Your choices of the actions you take tell you unerringly who you really are. You can develop within yourself a superb set of values by acting as though you already had those values. You can develop integrity and courage and compassion and confidence by behaving as though you already had these qualities. The more you act the part, especially when you demonstrate these qualities under stress or when you feel like doing or saying something else, the more rapidly these qualities become a permanent part of your mental makeup. The more you practice good values, the more rapidly you become a truly superior person. The keys to developing the unshakable self-confidence that will make everything else possible for you are self-control, self-mastery, and self-discipline. Self-confidence can come directly by behaving in a self-confident manner, but more often it comes indirectly by doing and saying the things and practicing the behaviors that lead to self-confidence. The most important self-development behavior is living consistently with your highest values at every opportunity.
If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person.
Don't do nothing. That's a big mistake, because all you do is get older and weaker and you withdraw more. And so even if you don't know what to do, pursuing nothing is a very bad idea. You have no hope then, because hope comes from pursuit, and you're anxious because you need to specify a path. So you have no hope and you're anxious if you do nothing. So nothing is not the answer.
Because if you don't start changing your attitude, you will miss your altitude. The problem is not the conditions, it's the discipline. There is no shortcut to excellence.
And your problem is you're not intentional and deliberate. You wake up on Monday and you might be strong, but by Wednesday, you're not intentional and deliberate. You are hoping that the best is going to happen to you, and the best never happens to you.
Defeating those negative instincts that are out to defeat us is the difference between winning and losing.
That idea isn't going to execute itself. That book isn't going to write itself. Those weights out in the gym, they aren't going to move themselves. You have to do it, and you have to do it now. You have to fight back against procrastination. When you feel that hesitation, get hyper aggressive. Kick in that door and bust into that room. Go. Do not wait. Take that first step and make it happen. You initiate action. You go. No more bowing down to whatever unhealthy or unproductive thoughts float through my mind. No more waiting for the perfect moment, and no more indecision, and no more lies.
You don't want to go run, you go run. You don't want to go swim, you go swim. You don't want to study, you can study. That's how you start to callous your mind. It's going to suck. It's not going to be fun.
Do something that sucks every single day of your life. That's how you grow. Whatever it is I want, this price is going to get much higher than this. It's going to get harder than this. And I've decided in advance it's going to be difficult, and I've decided in advance to stay in. I'm going to stay in the hunt. I'm going to stay fighting. I'm going to stay busting it. I'm going to pay the price until I get what it is that I deserve.
The people in life that win play offense, not defense. Stop backing into everything. Stand up. Bow your back a little bit. Start to walk a little different. Start to be that best version of you.
It's you. You're going to determine the outcome of your life. You're going to determine whether or not your life is exciting or whether or not it's boring.
You look at your life. You look at what you produce. Is it giving you what you want? Are you living on purpose? Are you living your dream? Are you acting on your ideas? Are you doing all you can do? Have you gotten comfortable? Are you challenging yourself? Are you experimenting? Are you learning something different? Is your life an adventure or is it boring? You got some idea, some dream that you might have to go back and brush it off and look at it again and say, I've got to do this. This is my stuff. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is why I showed up. Where are you going with your life?
Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. Not to feel exasperated or defeated or despondent because your days aren't packed with wise and moral actions, but to get back up when you fail, to celebrate behaving like a human, however imperfectly, and fully embrace the pursuit that you've embarked on. Suppose that a God announced that you were going to die tomorrow or the day after. Unless you were a complete coward, you wouldn't kick up a fuss about which day it was. What difference could it make? Now recognize that the difference between years from now and tomorrow is just as small.
I've seen what happens in the brain. You're going to make your brain worse. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make my inner world more real than my outer world. And some days are easier than others. But I'm not going to give up. I'm just not. I mean, if I'm going to carve out some time, then I'm all in, step by step. You can't get impatient doing this. You can't get frustrated doing this. You can't get resentful doing this. You can't force it or control it doing it. I've seen what happens in the brain. You're going to make your brain worse. So sooner or later, you start figuring out that isn't it. And all of a sudden, you start following the instructions. And you start going, wow, that was really easy. What was I doing up to this point? Everything but the formula. You were doing everything else but the formula. Doing it your way, analytical mind telling you to quit, it's too hard, you'll never get it. Yeah, those are the exact things that are standing in the way between you and your future. And every time you become conscious that you do that and you settle back down, that's a victory.
There's two skills you got to master to have life on your terms. To have an extraordinary life, to me, an extraordinary life is life on your terms. That's not my life. So what is it for you? For some people, that's, a white picket fence and 3 children. For some people, it's building a big business. For some people, it's being an author. It's like so many different things, poetry, music. So everybody's got to find what it is that they really love. But the skills you got to master to have life on your terms is, one, the science of achievement. That's what you're describing. How to take what I envision and make it real. And those are strategies, and they are proven strategies. There are certain rules of the game. If you want to be healthy and you want a lot of energy, everyone's biochemically slightly different, but there's certain rules. If you violate them, you're going to have low energy and dis-ease. If you align with them, you're going to have enormous energy and strength. Same thing around finance. Anyone can grow financially, but most people don't learn the basic fundamentals. And so they're missing the strategy. So that's strategy driven, and I spend a good portion of my life teaching people that. But then the second part is what creates lasting fulfillment. And lasting fulfillment, as you said, I always say progress equals happiness. If we're not making progress, we're not happy. But it doesn't require progress every moment and noticing it either. That's another catch-all. That's my lifestyle and your lifestyle, right? Our lifestyle is the formula that you described. But the really ultimate formula besides progress is appreciation, because you can make progress and then always have to make progress each moment to be happy. So we do need to grow. What you said is true fundamentally. Everything in the world grows or dies. Everything in the universe contributes, or it's eventually eliminated, by nature. So those aren't my laws. Those are the laws of nature. However, happiness only requires that you are grateful. If you've got $1 billion and 3 beautiful children that love you and a beautiful husband or wife, but doesn't matter what you have if you're not grateful. If you live in an emotional home, a habitual pace of worry or frustration, your life's called worry and frustration. So you could be making progress and still be worried and frustrated. So it isn't quite just what you said. You have to also develop a new decision that says, I'm going to live a different life. I have a vision for my life spiritually, and that vision spiritually is I'm going to live in a beautiful state no matter what. That doesn't mean I'm never going to get upset or frustrated or pissed off. It just means I got a 90-second rule that I'm going to get out of that as fast as possible and solve it from a beautiful place so that I'm adding value to the people around me and myself. So my own biochemistry gets the benefit of that. And so that doesn't mean that you're always making progress. I love progress. I think progress equals happiness, but it isn't the only secret to that. It's really, can you train your brain to appreciate? Because in the middle of whatever you're pissed off about or frustrated or fearful about or worried about, you're deleting all the things you could be grateful for, you could appreciate that are absolutely real. And that's the problem with the mind. And, I want your listeners or viewers to really think about this. You do not experience life. You experience the life you focus on. That's it. If you focus on what's wrong is always available. So is what's right. And so our focus produces our meanings and emotions, which produce the actions of our life. So it really starts with the patterns of your focus. Do you tend to focus on what you have or what's missing? Most achievers that are looking to make progress, I've dealt with millions of them over the years, as you well know. I'm one, you're one, right? Most achievers, that progress thing is really important. They're like, oh, we've got to have the next thing. And well, that's really wonderful, but it's only one way of doing things. And so it's like saying to yourself, wait a second, I'm going to, whether there's progress or not, I'm going to find the good in this. I'm going to find the great in this. And what that does is it produces a different fuel to live your life from. And from that fuel, it's easy to make progress. I used to tell myself I got really pissed off, my brain gets really sharp and fast and figures the answers. Well, that's true. But when I'm really in a great state, my brain is fast and quick and I enjoy it and people around me enjoy it. So it's also deciding how you're going to be, not just what you're going to do. And I think the combination of those is where the quality of life that people are really looking for shows up.
When force of circumstance upsets your equanimity, lose no time in recovering your self-control, and do not remain out of tune longer than you can help. Habitual recurrence to the harmony will increase your mastery of it. It is my bad luck that this has happened to me. No, you should rather say, it is my good luck that although this has happened to me, I can bear it without pain, neither crushed by the present nor fearful of the future. Because such a thing could have happened to any man, but not every man could have borne it without pain. So why see more misfortune in the event than good fortune in your ability to bear it? The happiness and unhappiness of the rational social animal depends not on what he feels, but on what he does, just as his virtue and vice consist not in feeling, but in doing.
Here's something else for those who make it today. Do what you know is right. Treat people like you want to be treated. Don't try and take any shortcuts. Don't try and cheat. Pay your dues up front. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, what goes around comes around. You can pay now or you will pay double later. So do the right thing. There might be a tendency sometimes, because of the negative part of our consciousness and our own programming, for us to want to say, well, I'll just do it this time. It won't matter. Won't nobody know. Ladies and gentlemen, everything matters. And you know you're somebody. You know. I'd rather lose out on my dream doing the right thing than to cheat trying to make a shortcut to get to my goal. I want to be able to look myself in the mirror. And that's what you want to do. There's no saying, judge a man not by what he does, but by that he doesn't have to do. And to judge the true quality of a man is what he'll do when nobody's looking. See, there's some good out there for you in the universe that has your name on it. And nobody can get your good. It has your name on it. They can't take your stuff. It's your stuff. So when you know that whatever you're seeking, it's also seeking you. You don't worry. You don't run scared. You don't think somebody's going to take it from you. You listen to your inner voice and you always take the high road. There will be the tendency, the natural inclination to take the low road. You must resist that. Repeat after me, please. I will always take the high road. And do the right thing. No matter what.
The sun doesn't shine every day. The storms will come. There are times when the nights will be long and dark and you will be alone. There will be times when the darkness seems to consume everything. But don't let it consume you.
That's anxiety. Stop. You're not where you think you are. Your map isn't producing the desired outcome. It's wrong. What should you do? You don't know. Stop. Because if you don't know where to go, there's no point going anywhere. And then what? Prepare. That's anxiety. Stop. Prepare. Well, people hate that because, well, for obvious reasons. Prepare. For what? Everything. Very, very demanding psychophysiologically. And that's also something that's really worth knowing. It's like anxiety isn't just a psychological state that's unpleasant. It's like you're revved up and you're burning resources like mad. And you're in a biochemical state such that's optimized for quick action, but that's toxic if you inhabit it for any length of time. So not knowing what to do, that is not good. And it isn't just that it makes you feel bad. It's you're running your machinery faster than you can replenish it.
For some reason, there is this facade that life should be full of happiness and without its suffering, which actually makes us suffer even more. Because when we get sad or something bad happens, we do not only feel bad about the thing itself, but we also feel bad because our life is not the way it is supposed to be. Not realizing suffering and sadness is just a part of life, and they're inevitable. Unless you learn your lesson, it will keep hurting. Not only it will never stop, it will also keep increasing the amount, so you won't get used to it.
And it doesn't matter how you get knocked down in life, because that's going to happen. All that matters is that you got to get up.
You have to get up.
Whatever experience you're having right now, it has not come to stay. It has come to pass. Sometimes you have to just back up and go within yourself and pray and meditate and recharge your batteries. Go away, clear your head, and then come back and look at it from a different vantage point. Don't operate while you're under the spell or the effect of what's going on. Don't allow your emotions to control you. We are emotional, but you want to begin to discipline your emotion. If you don't discipline and contain your emotions, they will use you. You don't have to force yourself or motivate yourself to think negatively, to be depressed, to beat yourself up over the head, to feel loaded with guilt. You don't have to make any effort to do that. Your mind is on automatic. It will do that by itself. But if you want to begin to move into your own personal greatness, you've got to be willing to go against the tide. You've got to be willing to harness your will and say, in spite of this, I'm in control here. I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this destroy me. I'm coming back.
The same situation can either be perceived as a lead ball chained to your feet or as wings growing out of your shoulder blades. How you interpret the challenge is crucial to your success of overcoming it. Ultimately, it's never the challenges that matter, but how you perceive them. If you work at that which is before you, following right reason seriously, vigorously, calmly, without allowing anything else to distract you, but keeping your divine part pure, as if you should be bound to give it back immediately. If you hold to this, expecting nothing, fearing nothing, but satisfied with your present activity according to nature, and with heroic truth in every word and sound which you utter, you will live happy. And there is no one who is able to prevent this. We are all bound by this oath to bear the ills of mortal life and to submit with a good grace to what we cannot avoid. So the spirit must be trained to a realization and an acceptance of its lot. It must come to see that there is nothing fortune will shrink from. There's no ground for resentment in all this. We've entered into a world in which these are the terms life is lived on. If you're satisfied with that, submit to them. If you're not, get out, whatever way you please. The happy man, therefore, is he who can make a right judgment in all things. He is happy who, in his present circumstances, whatever they may be, is satisfied and on friendly terms with the conditions of his life. That man is happy whose reason recommends to him the whole posture of his affairs.
How do you bear the suffering that is at the crux of life without becoming tempted and embittered? That's really, really difficult. Now, someone might point out, go ahead and be bitter, see where that gets you. And if you have any sense, and generally people have at least some, they know that being sick and bitter is worse than just being sick. And that being right, it's worse, but it's very hard temptation to avoid. Sometimes you want to be bitter just out of spite in some sense, because things are so terrible. All you've got left is your willingness to shake your fist, and say, well, really? Is this like this many poisonous snakes? Really? That's like, maybe I could have learned with just 1 or 2, not 100. And so, but we're all stuck with that. And I think we're stuck with it at every level of our life in some senses. How do we maintain a high order moral orientation in spite of suffering and malevolence?
Do you think that the man has any thought of mending his ways who counts over his vices as if they were virtues? Therefore, as far as possible, prove yourself guilty, hunt up charges against yourself, play the part first of accuser, then of judge, last of intercessor. At times be harsh with yourself. Set yourself free for your own sake. Gather and save your time, which till lately has been forced from you or filched away, or has merely slipped from your hands. Make yourself believe the truth of my words. That certain moments are torn from us, that some are gently removed, and that others glide beyond our reach. The most disgraceful kind of loss, however, is that due to carelessness. Furthermore, if you will pay close heed to the problem, you will find that the largest portion of our life passes while we are doing ill, a goodly share while we are doing nothing, and the whole while we are doing that which is not to the purpose. What man can you show me who places any value on his time, who reckons the worth of each day, who understands that he is dying daily? For we are mistaken when we look forward to death. The major portion of death has already passed. Whatever years be behind us are in death's hands. We should not manifest surprise at any sort of condition into which we are born, and which should be lamented by no one, simply because it is equally ordained for all. Yes, I say equally ordained, for a man might have experienced even that which he has escaped. And an equal law consists not of that which all have experienced, but of that which is laid down for all. Be sure to prescribe for your mind this sense of equity. We should pay without complaint the tax of our mortality.
If you're looking for certainty, the reality of suffering is certain. I mean, what do you accept as evidence above all else? That's a good question. That's a hard question. But I would say pain is up there. It's very difficult not to believe in the reality of your own pain. It's somewhat easier not to believe in the reality of other people's pain. That's not so easy either, but it's your pain seems to be undeniably real. And so it does beg a question, which is, if pain is undeniably real, is that which overcomes pain even more real? And I think that's, in some sense, that's the idea that lurks behind the idea of the resurrection.
Today, you will see this everywhere when people say, I am only human. They are talking about the limitations of being human. They are not talking about the possibilities of being human, isn't it? If we are the most intelligent species on the planet, if we are the most capable species on the planet, should we be talking about our possibilities or should we be talking about our limitations?
You are the sum total of all of the choices that you've made up until now. And anything about yourself or your life that you don't like or isn't working or is mobilizing you is to be looked at in terms of, can I grow? Rather than, why did I do it, or isn't this wrong? I don't like what I've done. I don't like the fact that I can't do this well or I can't do that well. So I will list these things in my own repertoire, and then I will be constantly trying to repair those deficiencies, always assuming that I'm deficient, that there's something wrong with me, and I'm trying to fix it. And when you do that, you spend your whole life doing that.
But in order to be the winner you were born to be, you must plan to win, you've got to prepare to win, and you must expect to win. And if you don't plan to win, and if you don't prepare to win, then you have no legitimate reason for expecting to win.
The way that we think about ourselves determines the policies that we embrace, the laws that we agree to live and abide under. Those are all based upon our story. So all of a sudden you see the battle for our story is front and center. I mean, what could be more important than that right now? So when we talk about that battle, there's a battle for who we are and the way that we think about ourselves.
You are creators who have come into this environment for the details that it evokes from you. But you are God force who insists upon alignment with the energy of your source. And it is our knowing that as you move forward from this day, never again will you feel negative emotion without blessing the importance of it. Because in the negative emotion is the indication that you are setting forth for this universe expansion. And instead of feeling a continuing of negative emotion, you're going to flip. You're going to take the bounce. You're going to feel the solution that your problem has pointed.
So then as you begin to think about a new possibility, and your brain begins to fire in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, and you begin to plan your behaviors, and you begin to review in your mind, mentally rehearse who you're going to be in your life. The mere action of mental rehearsal begins to install the neurological circuits in your brain. Now your brain is no longer a record of the past. Now it's in fact a map to the future. And if you were then to begin to emotionally embrace your future before it's made manifest, in other words, you're not waiting for your healing to feel wholeness. You're not waiting for your new relationship to feel love. You're not waiting for the mystical moment to feel awe. You're not waiting for your success to feel empowered. That's the old model of reality, of cause and effect.
Many of you, as I have been, as I am, are where you are in your life based upon what you believe. And it's not just what you think you believe on the surface, it's also your shadow beliefs that are holding you back from moving into the life that you believe you deserve. What I know is if you're not looking at the shadows, if you're not looking at what is subconsciously running through the tape in your mind, telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not smart enough, you're not enough, which is a tape that's playing for a lot of people. If you're not conscious of that, then you end up acting out of that belief system and not out of what you know to be the truest or want to be the truest for yourself.
How do you alter your mindset? The only path is through new awareness. You can receive advice all day long. Many people do. They love being told what to do. They're hooked on new books, new ideas, new lists. They learn and learn and learn in all directions except the one that matters most. Learning about themselves. There is no getting around this. It's hard to sustain new happiness without new awareness. You can go for the run, you can have the hard conversation, you can eat better food, you can wake up early, read at night, you can do it all. But does it make you happier? Deep down, long term, that's the metric. If it does, if you're happier, it's because you realize something new about yourself. The change was you. You recognized why your new habits shifted your outlook. It was about challenging your old mindset. We started with this idea that now was the time. It was the time to do more, to do better, to create the change and go for it, do it. If now is the time for change, make the change, but recognize what you are truly seeking. That your body may transform, your habits may improve, you may learn new ideas, but where did the change start? What was behind it all? It's always your mindset.
To control where awareness goes, we're controlling where energy is flowing. And if we're controlling where energy is flowing, we're controlling what's manifesting in our life. And this is a great secret to learn. This is something that I've learned in the monastery. My guru shared with me that's really changed my life. Because I've realized that all I need to do is control where my awareness goes. And if I can control where my awareness goes, I can control where my energy is flowing. And if I can control where my energy is flowing, I can control what is manifesting in my life. And therefore I can even choose to create positive things in my life or negative things in my life.
If you want to enjoy self-confidence on the outside, you must practice complete integrity on the inside. The foundation of self-confidence is for you to live your life consistent with your innermost values and principles, while thinking and acting in harmony with your highest aspirations. Men and women with the most solid self-confidence are those who are absolutely clear about what it is they believe to be right and good and worthwhile, and who live their lives consistent with these values. Everything they do or say is an expression of their innermost convictions. Your whole world can fall down around you, but as long as you know that you are doing the right thing, you will have a deep inner sense of calm that will manifest itself in an attitude of confidence and self. In an attitude of confidence and self-assurance in any situation. You will have many ups and downs in life. But what is most important is that you remain true to yourself. Your true values are only expressed in your actions, in what you do. You can tell what you truly believe by observing what you do in any situation in which you have to make a choice, especially when you are under stress and pulled in two directions at once, with opposing demands or responsibilities. This is when your true values are revealed. The action that you take in any given situation will tell you which of your values is uppermost or whether you have any values at all. It is not what you say, hope, wish, or intend, but only what you do that counts. Your choices of the actions you take tell you unerringly who you really are. You can develop within yourself a superb set of values by acting as though you already had those values. You can develop integrity and courage and compassion and confidence by behaving as though you already had these qualities. The more you act the part, especially when you demonstrate these qualities under stress or when you feel like doing or saying something else, the more rapidly these qualities become a permanent part of your mental makeup. The more you practice good values, the more rapidly you become a truly superior person. The keys to developing the unshakable self-confidence that will make everything else possible for you are self-control, self-mastery, and self-discipline. Self-confidence can come directly by behaving in a self-confident manner, but more often it comes indirectly by doing and saying the things and practicing the behaviors that lead to self-confidence. The most important self-development behavior is living consistently with your highest values at every opportunity. Appreciate how special you are. There will never be anyone exactly like you. You were given special gifts and talents to share with the world. And even though everybody has special gifts and talents, nobody will use theirs quite the same way you do. You have a way of being in the world and a perspective that's unique to you. You are the only one who thinks your thoughts the way you think them. You have created your own unique reality and are living your life according to your own unique path. You are the only you that will ever be. You're kind of a big deal.
I'm saying stop beating up on yourself. You do it. I know you do it. I've done it. It's a natural inclination for us to put ourselves down. And when I start changing that kind of mindset of beating myself up because of my mistakes and start looking at the possibility of my doing better, of my making the adjustment that would enable me to do what I want to do successfully, things begin to change.
And so if your life isn't everything it could be, you could ask yourself, well, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you? You'd be, who knows how much more efficient? 10 times more efficient, 20 times more efficient. That's the Pareto distribution. You have no idea how efficient people get. It's off the charts.
There will come times when you will feel like giving up. It's easier for a human being to think negatively than positively. That's why only 5% is successful. For 30 days, you must take control of your mind. It will think only about what you permit it to think. Each day for this 30-day test, do more than you have to do. In addition to maintaining a cheerful, positive outlook, give of yourself more than you've ever done before. Do this knowing that your returns in life must be in direct proportion to what you give. The moment you decide on a goal to work toward, you're immediately a successful person. You're then in that rare and successful category of people who know where they're going. Out of every 100 people, you belong to the top 5.
So I'm saying to you, can nobody take your good? See, that which is meant for you has your name on it. No one can take your good from you. That's you. That work you've been given, that idea that you've been given, if you don't come out here with that idea, no one's going to bring your idea out here. And I'm saying, in your hands, you have ideas. You have been given something to bring to the universe that was not here before you showed up. See, nobody, ladies and gentlemen, is going to give Les Brown's speech. This is my speech.
It's not okay to make excuses. It's not going to slow people down. It's not okay to ask the world to stop so that you can step out front. You've got to develop your skill set. You've got to take what you have now, and if that's crawling, then fucking crawl. But you drag yourself ever forward to a vision of yourself because you, my friend, know exactly where you're going. You're willing to pay whatever price it takes to get there, and you will keep pushing forward, and you will get better every day. And no matter how many times people chop at you, knock you down, you will get back on. You will crawl till you can walk. You will walk till you run, and then you will run until you fly. And that, my friends, is the only path forward. So if you want a fucking future that makes you happy, if you want a world that you're excited about, get your ass out there and earn it.
It's time for you to look within yourself and decide that I'm in charge of my destiny. I'm in charge here.
We've all seen how the person who assumes success tends to already have success. People who assume failure tend to have failure. When either failure or success is pictured, there is a very strong tendency for that picture to actualize as fact and become reality. To assure something worthwhile happening, therefore, first pray about it and test it according to God's will. Then print a picture of it on your mind as happening, holding that image firmly in consciousness. Continue to check that picture to God's will, that is to say, put the matter in God's hands and follow God's guidance. Work hard and intelligently, thus doing your part to achieve success in the matter. Practice believing and continue to hold the picture firmly in your thoughts. Do this and you will be astonished.
Here are some practical suggestions for changing your mental attitude from negative to positive. Such a change will release the kinds of thoughts that can help you make creative changes in your circumstances. 1. For the next 24 hours, deliberately speak hopefully about everything. Your job, your health, your future. Go out of your way to put optimism in everything you say. 2. After speaking hopefully for 24 hours, continue the practice for 1 week. Then you can permit yourself to be realistic for a day or two. You'll discover that what you meant by realistic a week ago was actually pessimistic, and what you now mean by realistic is something entirely different. It is the dawning of the positive outlook. When most people say they're being realistic, they delude themselves. They are simply being negative. 3. Feed your mind even as you feed your body. A healthy mind requires nourishing, wholesome thoughts. Start at the beginning of the New Testament and underline every sentence about faith. Continue doing this until you've marked every passage in the 4 books: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. 4. Commit all of those passages to memory. Learn one each day until you can recite the entire list from memory. This will take time, but remember, you've spent much more time being a negative thinker. Unlearning a negative pattern requires time and effort. 5. Make a list of your friends who are positive thinkers and deliberately cultivate their company. Don't abandon your negative friends, but get closer to those with a positive point of view until you've absorbed their spirit. 6. Try to avoid arguments, but whenever a negative attitude is expressed, counter with a positive and optimistic opinion. 7. Pray a great deal and always let your prayers take the form of thanksgiving. Assume that God is giving you great and wonderful things, for if you think He is, He surely is. God will not give you any greater blessing than you can believe in. Remember, according to your faith, be it unto you.
Make a list of all the things you can do. Get right on those. Discipline yourself for those, both for the results and for the muscle and for the practice, so that when life hands you some big challenges, you'll be ready. But see, if you don't handle the small ones, you can't take care of the big ones. Here's the steps. Number 1, find out how things work. The first key to doing better is find out. To change your life, really, you need ideas. There isn't anything an idea can't change. And Schoaf taught me the major problem is lack of an idea, not a problem. At first I didn't have any money. I said to Mr. Schoaf, I don't have any money. He said, that's not a problem. Now see, up until then I always thought it was. I was confused. He said, no, the problem is lack of an idea on how to create money and wealth. It isn't lack of money, it's lack of ideas. So if you get the ideas, so you can change anything. Now to get ideas, you need a constant study of finding out.
And they have to all be brought under the organizational structure of long-term collective vision. And in order to do that, you have to be disciplined. And any discipline, technically speaking, is an attempt to bring all those competing short-term impulses under a larger scale and more inclusive framework. You do that, and then, well, that's actually what gives you freedom. If you're going to mess around with very complicated and dangerous matters, you should really put your life together. We also know that the higher your conscientiousness, the lower your neuroticism. Conscientiousness does seem to keep neuroticism in check, and so I would say, and have said this to many people, clean your room, organize your life, get a routine, establish disciplined habits.
The next subject is setting goals. Let me show you what turned my life every way but loose. Setting goals. Here's what can easily happen if you don't set goals. It's easy to let life deteriorate into making a living instead of designing a life. And we all have a choice. Make a living or design a life. It's easy to get trapped by economic necessity. But the best advice I can give you on how to break out of that trap is to learn how to set goals. Mr. Shelf put it to me this way. He said, Jim, if you had enough reasons, you could do the most incredible things. If you have enough reasons.
Write down your why. What are you doing this for in life? Your why should be something so big that it changes the whole outlook on how things are with you and your purpose. Think about your passion. Think about your opportunities. And that's how you find your purpose. When that why heats up with your passion, your opportunity, and your purpose, then you'll find out.
Most of us are standing in a busy street, just letting the opportunities in life pass us by. We're waiting for the perfect situation, the perfect circumstances, the perfect opportunity, the perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect time or the perfect moment. There's never a perfect moment to do something great with your life. Take a look at the clock. That thing ain't stopping for nothing, baby. It's going to keep ticking, keep moving, keep passing you by all the time you're waiting for it to read perfect o'clock. You have to take action now. Whatever that goal is, whatever that dream is that you're holding in your mind, now is the time. Forget all your excuses. Forget all your problems. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right here, right now. Why keep looking around at people that are where you want to be, living the type of life you want to live? Look at that place where they are and say to yourself, now is my time. Now is my moment. Now is your moment. Today is that day.
I want you to be terrified of sitting on the sidelines and doing nothing. Waking up in 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 years or 60 years and being no closer to your goal. You've made no progress. That is the nightmare. Do the extra repetition, run the extra mile, go the extra round, make the right choices. Give the full measure. Fight back. Go down swinging. Give every day everything you've got. Embed that long-term goal in your mind. Burn it into your soul.
I got here not because I'm the strongest, not because I'm the fastest, not because I'm the best. I never stopped fighting. It got harder and it got harder, and it seemed the further I climbed, the harder it got. But I didn't stop. I didn't quit. I just kept fighting and fighting and fighting.
Think about it, write about it, talk about it, hang it up on your wall, but most important, do something about it every day. Every day, do something that moves you toward that goal, that keeps that goal alive and in sight and in focus.
Do what you say, mean what you say, follow through for something for one time in your life. One time.
Most people can motivate themselves to do things simply by knowing that those things need to be done. But not me. For me, motivation is this horrible, scary game where I try to make myself do something while I actively avoid doing it. If I win, I have to do something I don't want to do. And if I lose, I'm one step closer to ruining my entire life. And I never know whether I'm going to win or lose until the last second. Temperance is not deprivation, but command of oneself physically, mentally, spiritually. Demanding the best of oneself, even when no one is looking, even when allowed less. It takes courage to live this way. Not just because it's hard, but because it sets you apart. The warrior has awareness. We are aware that we are at war, and the war in our minds requires discipline. Not the discipline of a soldier, but the discipline of a warrior. Not the discipline from the outside to tell us what to do and not to do, but the discipline to be ourselves, no matter what. A weak mind must be constantly entertained and stimulated. A strong mind can occupy itself and, more important, be still and vigilant in moments that demand. Without the momentum of a stern discipline, motivation is mostly a momentary, flighty emotion. For it works best under the supervision of discipline, but can serve as not only an ally, but also an enemy, because in anything that requires your self-discipline, whether going to church, going to classes, going to workouts, going through trainings, completing jobs, reading books, living well, eating healthily, studying, practicing something, the more times you skip, the more relaxed and motivated you'll become about skipping. And the next thing you know, you've quit your fight altogether. Or put in short, the more you skip, the more you'll skip until you've quit. Maybe then you'll see that motivation bears its fruits when watered by discipline, but it spoils when not. We don't need accomplishments to feel good or to be good enough. What do we need? The truth. Not much. Some food and water. Work that we can challenge ourselves with. A calm mind in the midst of adversity. Sleep. A solid routine. A cause we are committed to. Something we're getting better at. Everything else is extra. Or worse, as history has shown countless times, the source of our painful downfall. If the first step is just showing up, committing to doing something each day, then the next step is finding something to focus on getting better at each day. And in this, where cumulative improvement meets compounding returns, we can harness one of the most powerful forces on earth. Think about it. Most people don't even show up. Of the people who do, most don't really push themselves. So to show up and be disciplined about daily improvement, you are the rarest of the rare. Life is filled with all sorts of difficulties and challenges. Work will not always go well, but working out is in our control. It is a contained space in which the only potential obstacle is our determination and commitment. Swim. Lift weights. Train in jiu-jitsu. Take long walks. You can choose the means, but the method is a must. You must be active. Get your daily win. Treat the body rigorously, as Seneca tells us, so that it may not be disobedient to the mind. Because as you're building muscle, you're also building willpower. More important, you're building this willpower and strength while most people are not. The body, you must understand, is a metaphor. It's a training ground, a proving ground for the mind and the soul. What are you willing to put up with? What can you do without? What will you put yourself through? What can you produce with it? Only you know what it will look like to train in your art like a samurai, an Olympic athlete, a master in pursuit of excellence. Only you will know what you need to practice from morning until night, what to repeat 10,000 times. It won't be easy, but in that burden is also freedom and confidence. The pleasure of the flow state, the rhythm of second nature, the quiet calmness of knowing that from the practice you'll know exactly what to do when it counts, the pride and the dependability of doing it too.